Welcome to the Sorcery Podcast, your sacred space to delve into spiritual tools, topics, and practices that will illuminate your path of soul remembering and healing. I'm your host, Ligia Costa, a soul guide, alchemist, soul writing coach, and the creator of the Trust Pathway. I'm deeply grateful to have you here with me. Together, we will embark on a profound exploration of self-discovery and healing, unlocking the secrets that lie within. Hello, welcome back to the Sorcery Podcast. Today, I would like to talk to you about the 5 stages of soul healing. What they are, how can you follow the pathway for those 5 stages of healing, and maybe for you to understand what stage are you in at the moment? What is your next step? Where is your soul now guiding you towards the next step of your own healing? Throughout these episodes, we will embark on a soulful exploration of trust, what trust is. Because trust is inherent in all of us. It's natural to us. It's within us. And how does trust relate to these stages of healing? And what are these stages of healing? So, before we move on to the stages, I would like to talk a little bit about what trust is. And I'm going to just touch it briefly. Trust is a value that I live for. Trust is at the forefront of everything I do, both in my personal life and my business as well. Is how I conduct myself, is how I conduct my relationships, how I run my business. So I will be talking about trust a lot in this podcast, the various types of trust. But before I move on to the 5 stages of healing, I think it is important to mention trust, because trust is a fundamental aspect of our human existence. We are all born with an innate trust, and you can witness that if you observe an infant. If you pay attention and you really look into that infant in a conscious level, you will see that the infant trusts that their own needs will be met. If they cry, they will either be fed, or they will be cleaned and have a nappy change, or they will be rocked to sleep, or even just, being held in a mother's embrace. And even as adults, we do carry trust in our present life, in our everyday lives, but often is unnoticed. And an example of that is that we trust that each breath that we take will fill our lungs with oxygen. And we trust that our hearts are beating. And we trust that putting one foot in front of the other will help us walk and move forward. So trust extends also beyond our physical experiences, because it's a natural part of our being. It's ingrained within us from the earliest stages of life. But we tend to forget that. We tend to forget that once we were infants that had our needs met whenever we cried. And we trusted that our caregivers would meet those needs. Trust involves having faith when certainty is absent. Is having faith when we can't control the outcomes, when we can't see a way out. And it's about trusting ourselves, trusting a higher power, trusting others, and trusting in the process of life. Trust also means to be present in the moment, to be present without worrying about the future, without worrying about other people betraying our trust. It's understanding that even if our trust is challenged, even if other people betray our trust, that we have the power in this present moment to make choices that will align with our well-being. And as I said, trust is very important and always present throughout the 5 stages of healing. And these 5 stages of healing were created by me to help me with my own self-healing. And I will share that with you. Share that my trust pathway goes through the stages of truth, reflection, unravel, soul, and thrive. And we can go through various stages at the same time. Normally the stages of truth and reflection, or reflection and unravel, or even the first 3 stages, they are intertwined, and we normally do all 3 almost at the same time. Maybe not on a conscious level, but it's something that we do. But I will touch on what each stage is, and maybe by hearing this, you will understand in what stage of healing you are, and maybe what is the next stage for you. I am a believer that the journey towards inner healing begins with the quest for truth. And this is what I call the first stage of soul healing. Because this stage of truth requires us to peel back the layers and to examine the narratives we have constructed around our experiences, around what happened to us in the past, around our traumas, around our wounds. And these narratives might also have been shaped by societal expectations, by past traumas, by your own self-perception of how the event unfolded. So by examining these stories, we can uncover what is the truth behind the facts and discover the authentic essence of who we are. And in this stage of truth, it is important to consider 3 things. The first thing is that we as human beings are both light and shadow. We have this duality within us. And so it's very important in this stage of truth to acknowledge both our strengths and our vulnerabilities. And by exploring the shadow side of ourselves, we can bring into the light what needs to be healed, what areas need to be tended to in order to grow. And it's really important to remember that our shadows hold valuable lessons and hold immense potential about how we can proceed with our lives and also how we can grow as human and soul beings. The other thing is the role of emotions in our inner healing journey, because emotions are the language of our soul. They reveal our deepest truths. They guide us towards those areas that need healing, that need to come to light, and also our desires and our passions. So it's really important to acknowledge and embrace our emotions as we work in this stage of truth, so we can create a more authentic and fulfilling life. And the next layer on this stage that we have to remember to work on is our thoughts. Because our thoughts shape our reality, and they are not always aligned with the truth. What we think that happened is not necessarily what happened. Is our perspective, is our perception of things, and also our projection, the projection of our emotions, of our shadow sides. Normally, the things that we reject in other people or that we don't like in other people really is a mirror of something that we are or that we have and that we reject in ourselves. And so thoughts are distorted by all of these things, and then they create negative thought patterns and self-limiting beliefs that can block our healing process. So by examining our thoughts and challenging their validity, we are able to rewrite the narratives that hold us back and create new empowering beliefs. So in this first stage of truth, it's really important to remember that truth is not a destination. It is a continuous process of self-discovery and growth. So think that this process happen slowly. It's like we peel back a layer after layer after layer. And as we peel those layers, we will encounter discomfort and we will encounter resistance and even fear. And the only way to do it in a more manageable way is really to have the courage to show our vulnerabilities to ourselves, really. It's not like we don't need to share with the world, but when we are doing this self-healing process, we have to be really honest with ourselves and be vulnerable with ourselves. So the next stage of the healing journey is reflection. And to me, this is the most important stage of this process, because without reflection, nothing can be done. In this stage is where we pause, when we look inward, when we are really open to understand the significance of our stories and our narratives. And by reflecting on our experiences, we gain insight into how our feelings and our thoughts have shaped the path our soul has taken. And in order to create a space for reflection, it's really important to find a quiet and comfortable place where you are able to disconnect from external distractions and tune into the whispers of your soul. And this could be done through journaling, through meditation, or even through a walk in nature. I believe that this stage of reflection contains golden nuggets about our true selves that have the power to change our lives. Because as we dive deeper into our emotions and thoughts, we might encounter patterns and triggers and wounds and even notice cycles that keep repeating and that need healing. The third stage of healing is unravel. And this stage is where big transformations happen, is when we open the door to our souls and courageously dive into the depths of our being. Through this process of unraveling, we are able to really see the truth of our essence. Not so much the truth about what happened in the past, or the stories or the narratives. Here is about the truth of who we are, of what are the wounds that we have, what are the parts of ourselves that are keeping us stuck and that need to be released. As we unravel, we peel away layers and layers of conditioning, of societal expectations, of past traumas that altogether have shaped our identities, that have created these masks that we wear and that we think is who we are, but really they are just hiding our authentic selves. And this process can be both liberating and challenging. Sometimes, or most times, it's really hard to look at the truth and to admit that we have been wearing these masks to protect ourselves and that we are not being truth to ourselves and to others. And so it requires us to face our fears and embrace vulnerability, and also to be really honest with ourselves. But as we unravel, as we courageously embrace this stage of healing, we are able to heal deep wounds that have been buried within us, because we actually confront the pain, we confront the grief, we confront the unresolved emotions that have been silently impacting our lives. And as we shine light on these wounds, we are able to release the grip on our souls and create space for healing and for growth. The fourth stage of soul healing is soul. And I love this stage because this is where we open the Pandora box, as I like to call it, and we see the essence of who we are. We see the spark of divinity within us. This is the stage that holds our deepest wisdom, our potential, our magic, our purpose is the stage of activation, because it's a time where we are actually becoming more enlightened and we are expanding. We are awakening the power within us. And as we awaken that power, we are able to align who we are with our true path, with our soul's path. In order to activate the soul on our inner healing journey, we start by cultivating a deep connection with ourselves and tuning into our inner guidance. So this stage is where we open ourselves to new possibilities, is where we open ourselves to our intuition and we nurture that intuition. We nurture that inner wisdom, that inner voice that is within us, always guiding us. And as we do that, this process will activate our creative potential that then will fuel our desire for growth and transformation. I like to call this soul stage, this soul activation, as a rebirth, because what happens in this stage is that we shed not only old patterns and limitations, but also our old selves. Is where we start to remember who we truly are. We start to remember our true nature, our higher version of ourselves, our power, our magic. And as we remember that, we actually step into our power and we align our life with our authentic nature. The last stage of soul healing is thrive. And in the stage of thriving is actually a culmination of all the other stages on our inner healing journey. This is where we make the intention to step into our power, to align with our soul's path, with our soul's calling, and embrace the life not only that we always yearn for, but actually the life we are meant to live. This stage also invites us to align our reality with our soul's calling. There is a lot of reflection going on this stage as well, because after all the work that we've done so far and knowing what are our limitations, what are our limiting beliefs, what are areas of our life that need healing that no longer are working, and then remembering our power, our soul's nature, our soul's calling, we actually understand what are the things in our lives that are not supporting our soul's path, and what are actually our soul's needs and our soul's desires. So by reflecting on all of this stage of thrive will require us to let go of all those expectations, of all those limiting beliefs, and all those fears that have held us back. And as we shed these barriers, this is when we create space to manifest our dreams, to co-create the life that our soul is meant to live and that actually reflects our innermost desires. So basically, this is the stage that stepping into our power and embracing our unique gifts and talents is important. Because by honoring our true selves, we invite abundance, we invite growth, and we invite happiness into our lives. The thrive stage, as I said, is where there is a co-creation and a manifestation of our desires and our dreams and the life that we are meant to live. So this makes us active participants in our own transformation. And I think that's extremely powerful, because as we do that, we are actually cultivating a mindset of possibility, of resilience, and of gratitude. Because we know that we have the power to shape our own reality. So before I love you and leave you, I would like to leave you with a soul inquiry from my Trust journaling deck that contains 5 suites that goes through this 5 stage of soul healing. And the card that I intuitively pull is from the suite Unravel. And the soul inquiry is: What is my heart's true desire? Am I living it in my current reality? What is my heart's true desire? Am I living it in my current reality? And the affirmation is, I trust that I am on the right path. I trust that I am on the right path. How on point is this soul inquiry? And even this affirmation, how on point is this card? Amazing. If you feel called to, spend some time pondering, reflecting on this soul inquiry, journal about it, and don't overthink it. Just go with the first instinct that comes to you, because that is your intuition calling. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for listening to the Sorcery Podcast and for holding space for this conversation. It is truly magical to be able to walk with you on this journey of soul healing and inner transformation. If you resonated with this episode and found it valuable, I would be grateful if you could leave a review on iTunes. Your feedback helps me reach more souls searching for guidance and healing. For more guidance and soul wisdom to support soul awakening women through the journey of alchemy, please visit my website www.ligiacosta.co.uk. Love and healing to all. See you on the next one.